This is the Make the Money and Run podcast for Wednesday, November 3rd, 2021. We are sponsored by the Britannia Arms of Cupertino. Check them out at BritanniaArmsDeanza.com, 408-252-7262. We're also sponsored by the Britannia Arms in Capitola, Facebook.com/Britannia Arms Capitola, 831-464-2583. And with that, we welcome you into the studio. How you doing, everybody? Vasi Vadaparty here for the Make the Money and Run podcast for Wednesday, November 3rd, 2021. Great to have you with us as well. Special show today, the day after the World Series concludes. The Atlanta Braves are your World Series champions. How about that? Congratulations to the city of Atlanta. Congratulations to Braves ownership, Braves players, Freddie Freeman, Alex Anthopolous, the GM, all sorts of things going on. They were, if you take the four teams that were left in the NLCS and ALCS, they were the fourth least favored team in the World Series as far as odds go. They were about a 5-1, a 10-1 underdog to win the World Series. Not only did they beat the Milwaukee Brewers, they beat the Dodgers, then they beat the Astros 4-2 after last night's 7-0 victory. Max Fried goes 6 innings. What a job he did. We'll get to all the particulars in a second. Atlanta's first championship in any sport since 1995, when the Braves won the World Series back then. That was the Tom Glavine, Greg Maddux, John Smoltz, who was in the booth, by the way, last night for Fox, did a great job. Fred McGriff, Mark Lemke, all the particulars of the 1990s teams that won all those divisions. Oh, how could I forget Chipper Jones? Of course, Chipper Jones was there too. He was a big part of it for the Atlanta Braves at that point. And the three starters, the Hall of Fame starters, Steve Avery made up the fourth starter there. Different day and age. They went to 2 bullpen games this year in the World Series. Didn't even announce starters until about a few hours before the game goes. But that's the way baseball is right now. So here we are on November 3rd, the day after the World Series ends. Braves, the world champions, 4-2 in the World Series after a 7-0 win in Game 6. Unbelievable that the Atlanta Braves win. Thanks to everybody on Facebook Live, YouTube Live, and Twitter Live for joining us. If you miss any of the broadcasts, you can download and subscribe anywhere you get your podcast. Just look for the symbol up there in the right-hand corner where the Make the Money and Run podcast, you find that symbol on any of your podcasts, and you'll be able to download, subscribe, pass it on to your friends. A little note here. I'm going to be doing an NFL pregame show live from the Britannia Arms of Cupertino this Sunday. We're going to go on at 12:45 Eastern, 9:45 in the morning. Come down if you're in the area at 9:45. We'll be on the air. I'm going to post a link before that. Join in online on Facebook or Twitter or YouTube. Click onto the link and be able to get on the show, ask a question, talk about your favorite NFL teams. The Britannia Arms of Cupertino, 20 TVs there. NFL Sunday ticket, BritanniaArmsDeanza.com, 408-252-7262. But this is a World Series show. We'll get to all that. Don't forget, Charlie and I will be back tomorrow. 1 o'clock Eastern is our new time for Thursdays. We have no more day games. So we're going to go at 1 Eastern, 10 Pacific for the Make the Money and Run podcast. We're still Mondays, Thursdays, and Fridays. On Friday, we will wrap up the final baseball show at 12:30 Eastern, and then we'll have the Friday football show. Get Charlie's takes on the World Series, and then we'll preview the NFL, the NCAA weekend as well. But back to the Atlanta Braves. What a story. Braves beat the Brewers, the Dodgers, the Astros. How about Alex Anthopolous? He was assistant GM with the Braves back in the 90s and the early 2000s. He went to Toronto, got to the ALCS a couple of times, and then came back to the Braves. Ronald Acuna Jr. got hurt at the time of the All-Star break. He was out. He was going to be out for the rest of the year. So what do the Braves do? They're 44-45. We'll get to that in a second. At the All-Star break, they just lost to the Miami Marlins 7-4. Ian Anderson, the Game 3 starter here, he was 5-5 after that game going into the All-Star break. They were 1 game under 500. And Alex Anthopolous does not sell like everybody thought he was going to do. Another lost year in Atlanta. Probably not. Well, what does he do? Instead, he buys. What he does is he replaces Ronald Acuna's production with 4 pretty good outfielders. Adam Duvall, Eddie Rosario, Joc Pederson, Jorge Soler. He gets Adam Duvall from the Marlins for practically nothing. Eddie Rosario from the Indians for Pablo Sandoval. By the way, Northern California, where I live, beautiful Northern California day. Pablo Sandoval is not a retired player. He's still an active player. Pablo Sandoval is the player most active rings, or most rings by an active player, I should say. He has 4 now after getting his 3 with the San Francisco Giants. He's going to get a ring next year. Joc Pederson, back-to-back world championships. He won last year with the Dodgers. I know everybody says 60-game season, whatever. The fact is that he's a world champion from 2020, the 9th player to win back-to-back World Series with different teams in back-to-back years. Last year with the Dodgers, this year with the Braves. A midseason trade from the Cubs where he was languishing with Chicago in the outfield. They make the trade for him. He was the first trade, actually, that Alex Anthopolous came on with. So Joc Pederson, the first one. And then Jorge Soler, who was having a big year in Kansas City. He had 45 home runs in 2019 for the Royals. And he's big-time power. 13 home runs for the Royals before they traded him. So nearly about 90 games when he got traded. All he does is come in, no DH, so he's got to play the outfield. Plays the outfield very well. Plays right field very well. He's got a cannon of an arm. 14 home runs in 55 games for Jorge Soler. Adam Duvall led the National League in RBIs. Are you kidding me? Adam Duvall, former San Francisco Giant product, played with the Reds, now with Atlanta, went to Florida, went to Miami, actually went to Florida, and then they called themselves the Miami Marlins, and then came back to Atlanta this year, mid-season. Right after the All-Star break, he got traded. He led the National League in RBIs. How about that? Joc Pederson, we mentioned, from the Cubs. Jorge Soler, 14 home runs in 55 games. Eddie Rosario from the Cleveland Indians, he was injured. He didn't even play for a month. And what does he do? He comes up big. National League Championship Series MVP against the Dodgers. I believe he had 14 hits. I don't have the numbers in front of me. I'm a Dodgers fan still, but he had 14 or 15 hits in the National League Championship Series. He was huge for the Braves in the NLCS. Here we go. The Braves were 44 and 45 at the All-Star break. 5 back of the Mets at 48 and 40. Remember, we only do loss columns here. The odds for them at the All-Star break to win the World Series went up. I mean, dramatically went up to 50-1. 50-1. Are you kidding? $50? You'd be living large right now. You take that $2,500 and go to Disney World or something right now with that $50 at 50-1 odds. Nobody thought the Braves had a chance. The Mets were red hot. Jacob deGrom was on fire. They weren't hitting the ball as well. The Philadelphia Phillies had the best offensive lineup, 1-8 in that division. They were 38 and 36. They were just so inconsistent. Here's what happened. The Braves ended up 88 and 73. They had a rain out. They didn't make up that game on Monday. They already won the division. 88 and 73. So that's a 44 and 28 clip to end the year for the entire second half, I should say, after the All-Star break. 44 and 28, 73 games they played in the second half of the year post All-Star break, and that was their record. That's nearly a 700 winning percentage, probably about 650. The Mets, meanwhile, they ended up at 70. They ended up 29 and 45 as they ended up 77 and 85. The Phillies ended up 2 games over. They were 38 and 36. Second half, 29 and 45. Phillies 38 and 36 in the second half. Marlins and Nationals out of it by August at that point already. What about the Atlanta Braves? How did they get here? The Atlanta Braves, how did they get here? Well, they developed. They went through a rebuild. Freddie Freeman signed an 8-year contract years ago. He's going to be a free agent. We'll get to his story in a second. It's an unbelievable story. But Austin Reilly came out of the woodworks the last few years. They didn't have a position for him. He played the outfield. They tried to put him at first base when Freeman got hurt. They didn't know what they had. They didn't know if they were going to trade Freddie Freeman 2 years ago because they were still in a rebuild. They were bringing up young guys here. Austin Reilly has become a legitimate MVP candidate. They traded Josh Donaldson away, or Josh Donaldson became a free agent. Austin Reilly took over third base. He's a terrific third baseman defensively. If you watch any and all the playoffs, he's a great third baseman. He had 28 home runs for the Atlanta Braves. He became an MVP candidate. We don't have the MVP rankings yet or the MVP voting yet, but he's an MVP candidate. He probably finished 4th. Dansby Swanson hit better than ever. His defense is outstanding. The number 1 draft pick of the Arizona Diamondbacks came over to Atlanta when Atlanta made that big trade to send Arizona a chance to win at that point. But Dansby Swanson comes back to the Southeast where he's from. He has 25 home runs this year, and his shortstop play as good as anybody's in the National League. I put him up defensively against anybody in the National League. And then Ozzie Albies, the switch hitting second baseman, he's been consistent as ever. Over 300 the last couple of years, played well at second base, right-handed power, left-handed contact, terrific on the infield. It's just a matter of the Atlanta Braves coming through to it. Freddie Freeman, the first baseman of the Atlanta Braves, he came into the organization in 2007. He joined the Braves, made the major league debut in 2009. He signed an 8-year contract, watched a rebuild. As we said, they were trying to build up the team again to where they are now. Finally got the pieces to be part of a champion. He is the most humble superstar you will ever meet in the world. He is just that nice of a guy. If you approach him, he'll have a nice word for you to say. He's got a nice family, really nice wife, 5-year-old son, I believe. He might be a little older now. I don't know, but he had a rough time coming into this. And into 2020, when we were experiencing COVID, he contracted COVID. And it was touch and go for Freddie Freeman. He was worried that he might die. The stories were unbelievable. It was very emotional to watch him go through this COVID. He couldn't eat. He couldn't sleep. He had a fever of 104 coming into COVID at the beginning. It was really touch and go for him. And baseball clearly was secondary on his mind. He's got a young family. He's been married only a few years. He's got a young family. He was on the verge of not making it. Came back strong. It took about a month to get him going. He was hitting about 190, 180 when August rolled around. I mean, he wasn't even sure he was going to play. In fact, nobody would have blamed him if he took the year off and opted out, because like Buster Posey did for the Giants, because he suffered COVID. I mean, he suffered badly where he thought he might die. Unbelievable. 2020 MVP. Not only does he come back strong, comes back with a flourish and ends up winning the MVP. They lost the LCS. They had a 3-1 series lead on the Dodgers in 2020. Dodgers came back, won 3 in a row, but he won the MVP over Mookie Betts. And as a Dodgers fan, you know what? Freddie Freeman deserved it. Mookie Betts probably as good an MVP candidate, but the year that he went through with the COVID and dealing with this and the Braves coming back, he deserved the MVP. And now, after 14 years in the organization, Freddie Freeman is a world champion. And it's his free agent year. He signed that 8-year contract. The contract comes up tonight, comes up after the season ends, which is yesterday. If I were the Atlanta Braves and I had a guy that was as humble, as nice of a person, as good a family man, as good a representative of the Atlanta Braves in the city of Atlanta, sign him now, Atlanta. I mean, he's from Southern California. He grew up in Southern California, but he's a Brave. He's been a Brave his whole career. 2007, he got drafted. 2009, he made his MLB debut. Sign him now, Atlanta. The Atlanta Braves need him back at first base to keep that infield going. Then you go into 2022, which we'll talk about as we get on later. Freeman, Albies, Swanson, Reilly, first to third on the infield. You got Duvall, Rosario, Guillermo Heredia, Jorge Soler, Ronald Acuna Jr. is going to come back. They're going to have some decisions to be made as to what they do at the outfield. Don't forget the Braves lost Marcell Ozuna to a power-hitting outfielder too for all the domestic problems that he had. He got suspended by the commissioner's office, and he may never play again because he got suspended on the commissioner's exempt list for suspension for matters outside of the game itself. So Marcell Ozuna wasn't even there. In fact, their outfield lineup on that Sunday before the All-Star break, I was looking at it. Orlando Arcia in left field. He's a former middle infielder with the Milwaukee Brewers. Guillermo Heredia, who had a big part in the playoffs, in center field. And then Eri Adrianza, big pinch hitting superstar for the Braves right now. The Braves had a lot of good pinch hitters. They had a lot of pinch hit home runs this year, including Pablo Sandoval. Adrianza hit 3 pinch hit home runs. He had a grand slam as one of those pinch hit home runs as well, too. But Adrianza was in right field for the Braves. They were 44-45 after that loss to the Marlins, and they ended up 88-73. They really ran away with the division. Come September, that division was over by the time September 10th rolled around. There's no doubt in my mind. Max Fried, 6 innings pitched. His last 2 starts were terrible. Game 2 start against the Astros. The Astros really hit left-handed pitching. The Astros tied the series at 1 game apiece. He was not good. He wasn't good in game 5 against the Dodgers either. 6 innings pitched, 4 hits, no walks, 6 strikeouts. If you had the Braves, you had them at good odds yesterday, plus 122. The Braves were plus 1-22, so you made some money. How about the bullpen? Very questionable coming into the Brewers bullpen was better with Josh Hader. The Dodgers bullpen was better with their 6 guys, including Kenley Jansen and Joe Kelly and Blake Trinan, all names you heard of. Well, Will Smith, 6 saves, 2-0 in the postseason, 11 innings pitched, no runs allowed. Will Smith, left-handed pitcher. He's the one that gave up the 3-run home run to the other Will Smith, the catcher for the Dodgers, last year in Game 6 of the NLCS in 2020 back in Texas. But 6 saves, did not allow a run. By all accounts, he's a good guy. He's a world champion. Tyler Matzick, an interesting story. I don't know if you heard the story about Tyler Matzick. Tyler Matzick, a very interesting story. 5 years ago, he was out of baseball. If you play golf, then you understand the term. He had the yips. He couldn't throw strikes. The ball, he couldn't control the ball wherever it was going. It was all over the place. If you watch Bull Durham and you watch Nuke Lelouch, played by I forgot the name of the actor right now. But if you watched Bull Durham, Nuke Lelouch, he had no idea where the ball was going. He threw 99 miles an hour, but he had no idea where the ball was going. So he had to harness it a little bit. Tyler Matzick, same thing happened. He got released by the Colorado Rockies. Have you seen the pitching in Colorado the last 5 years? I mean, really. Tyler Matzick, 3-0 in 15 2/3 innings pitched in the postseason, 13 games, a 1.72 ERA. So that comes out to about, I'm going to do some quick math here, and I'm going to say that's about 3 earned runs in 13 games in 15 2/3 innings. And I think 2 of them were in the same game against the Brewers. They did lose a game to the Brewers in that scenario. So Max Fried combined with Tyler Matzick, Will Smith, they've had Chris Martin also was a good pickup for them as well. He's been there a couple of years. He was good in the bullpen for the Braves as well, too. So very, very good bullpen by the Braves. They did go with 2 bullpen games. Jesse Chavez pitched well as an opener. He had 2 opening starts against the Dodgers, and he had Tucker Davidson. They had to replace Charlie Morton. Charlie Morton pitched on a broken leg for those 4 hitters back in game 1. Game 2. Charlie Morton, game 2. I forget which game it was, but Charlie Morton pitched on a broken leg. We know that. Struck out Altuve. They got the win in that game, but he went back out after breaking his tibula. That's it. But Tucker Davidson got called up. He was on injured reserve after June. He had made 4 starts in the big leagues in June, and now he gets called up, and he's an opener. He had a rough game. He had a rough game 5 in Atlanta as the opener for Charlie Morton. Charlie Morton started game 1, by the way. So Charlie Morton was game 5. They had no Charlie Morton. During the year, they lost their ace from last year, their near 20-game winner from 2 years ago, Mike Soroka, right-handed pitcher, probably their ace of the bullpen. He was out as well, too, for the whole year. He's got shoulder problems. We hope he recovers and comes back as well, too, because Mike Soroka is an outstanding pitcher. And if he leads that staff and you've got, I don't know what they're going to do with Charlie Morton, but you got a young Max Fried, you got a young Ian Anderson, they're primed for that NL East. That division's not great. And unless the Mets do something here, it's going to be an Atlanta Braves division again. This may be a run like it was in the 90s for the Atlanta Braves because they're just building piece after piece after piece. That infield is set. You got Ronald Acuna Jr. back. I don't know what they're going to do in terms of the outfield. I would keep Adam Duvall. He's still productive, 37 home runs, led the National League in RBIs. So very interesting how Max Fried came out and ended up winning this game. All right, I'm Vasi Vadaparty. This is the Make the Money and Run podcast. We're sponsored by the Britannia Arms of Capitola. The 10 years old on the shores of the Pacific Ocean, located on the end of the Capitola Village, facebook.com/Britannia Arms Capitola, 831-464-2583. I said I'm going to be in Cupertino on Sunday for the NFL Sunday Ticket, 9:45 to 10:15 West Coast time, 12:45 to 1:15 East Coast time. We'll have a link for you to join us as well. If you want to get on, ask a question, make a comment, you're more than welcome to join that as well too. And then also the following Sunday, I will be in Capitola. Come on down to the beach if you're in the area in Northern California. Come on down to the beach. Andy Hewitt, the owner of the bar, I saw him yesterday. I took some photos yesterday, posted them up here. They are going to open up 15 minutes early at 9:45, so we can do our show at 9:45 to 10:15. We want the people to come down and enjoy the NFL Sunday Ticket as well there too. Facebook.com/Britannia Arms Capitola, 831-464-2583. Let's check Facebook here. Let's check the comments we got here. NL East is anyone's division, according to Rob Gadamowitz. I'm going to pronounce that right, Rob. So one of these days I'll get it right. But the NL East is anyone's division. I don't know. The way the Braves play, they've got momentum going right now. If Jacob deGrom is healthy for the Mets, we'll see how it goes. Philadelphia has a great lineup. Aaron Nola is a stud. they're going to figure out their bullpen and figure out what they're going to have to do with that as well, too. But thanks for watching, Rob. Always appreciate it. If you live in the area, come down to Britannia Arms or go check them out and see how they go. Don't forget, we'll be on at social media at 6 o'clock Eastern. Charlie O, Nick Robinson, myself will have our Selection Wednesday for our picks. NBA, NHL, baseball's over now. Football coming back tomorrow night. We'll talk about all that tomorrow on the Make the Money and Run podcast, 1 o'clock Eastern, 10 o'clock a.m. Pacific. All right, let's get back to Major League Baseball here. The World Series is over. The Atlanta Braves are world champions. How about that? What about the Houston Astros? Astros bats went cold in games 3 and 4 like they did against the Boston Red Sox. It was very tenuous. Everybody thought the Red Sox were going to get by, and it was going to end up being a Dodgers-Red Sox series, a reunion for Mookie Betts, Alex Verdugo, Kike Hernandez, Nathan Eovaldi, and the rest of those ex-Dodgers and ex-Red Sox that are playing for each team. Joe Kelly pitching for the Dodgers was a former Red Sox as well, too. It turned out to be Atlanta and Houston as the bats woke up in the Boston series. Game 5, 6 for the Astros. Same thing happened in Game 5. Their bats went cold. They nearly got no hit in Game 3 by Ian Anderson. He went 5 innings, and the rest of the bullpen shut them down, only gave up 2 hits the rest of the way. Altuve, the only guy, 2 home runs in the series, in the World Series. Bregman was cold. He had a big double in Game 5. Thought he was going to get off the schneid with that. They ended up winning that game and forcing the Game 6 back in Houston, where everybody thought Houston was going to win. But the Braves came out, jumped out 3-0. The Jorge Soler home run. What a home run it was. I mean, gee, many Christmas. That ball was hit over the train tracks. In Houston in left field. 446 feet, it said. I don't know if it was 446 feet. It sure looked a lot longer than that. But I didn't have the sound on where I was. I was in Capitola at the Britannia Arms of Capitola, where you should all check out. But I didn't hear the sound, but you could see it. The second he hit it, Soler knew. Luis Garcia knew. It was just all bad for the Astros when it became 3-0. It was a good pitching matchup for the first 4 innings, but Luis Garcia had short rest. And Soler's monster home run opened the scoring, a 3-run blast. Dansby Swanson hit a home run. Freddie Freeman hit a home run. It ended up 7-0. But Bregman, Yordan Alvarez, the ALCS MVP, the ALDS MVP, I'm sorry. And then he struggled in the ALCS as well, too. Carlos Correa, as soon as he hit that home run and pointed to his watch that it was his time, he went cold from that point on. He's a free agent. Lots of shortstops out there as well, too. So Houston has some decisions to make. They had to go with an opener, too. They had to use Zach Greinke. By the way, Zach Greinke has more postseason hits than a lot of active players. He has 3 postseason hits in the major leagues for all the postseason appearances he's made with the Dodgers and with the Astros as well, too. In fact, he even has a postseason appearance with the Arizona Diamondbacks as well, too. So very interesting. Very interesting. Thank you, Rob. Very nice comment from Rob. You're on the East Coast. You live on the East Coast. We love you on the East Coast. I appreciate that. Glad we're getting out there. 3:30, almost 3:30 on the East Coast. 5 more minutes here with the Make the Money and Run World Series edition here. Vassy Vada Party, your solo host, sponsored by the Britannia Arms of Cupertino and Capitola. In Silicon Valley, check out the Britannia Arms of Cupertino for weekday specials, NFL Sunday ticket, 20 screens there. In Capitola on the shores of the Pacific Ocean, 6 TVs there. Go in there, the best British pub and restaurant you'll find both in Silicon Valley and near the water on the ocean in Capitola as well, too. All right, we're back with the Atlanta Braves. They're the world champions. What are they going to do for 2022? Well, we already talked about Freddie Freeman. They are going to have the opportunity to re-sign him, and I can't imagine that they're not going to re-sign him. He's the face of that franchise right now. They've got good pitching. Charlie Morton is 37 years old, and now he broke his leg. Max Fried is an ace. He won 16 games this year for the Atlanta Braves. He's a good pitcher, good left-handed pitcher, good spot right there. Mike Soroka, if he comes back healthy, we talked about his injury, his shoulder injury, second shoulder injury, and those are tough to come back from. But he's an ace in the making as well, too. So you have him and Soroka and Ian Anderson, who Oscar and Noah was somebody that they used a little bit this year as well, too. But he got hurt as well. So they're looking to try and build that up. The bullpen, if they can keep Will Smith a little older right now. Tyler Matzick, no yips anymore for Tyler Matzick. So the 2 guys there are pretty much set in the bullpen if Will Smith wants to re-sign with the Braves again as well. And they've got Chris Martin. They've got guys in there that threw. All I got to do is look at the box score and see that happen as well, too. All right, the Atlanta Braves, the 2010 World Champions. Don't forget to join us tomorrow, Thursday at 1 Eastern for the Make the Money and Run podcast. We will be here every Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. We will be on Thursday at 1 Eastern, Friday at 12:30 Eastern for the Friday baseball show, the final one with Charlie O. And then 1 o'clock, we'll have the Friday football show, all live on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. Download and subscribe. Find that logo up there in the right-hand corner. Download and subscribe if you missed the live broadcast. Actually, on Apple, we still have the old logo on there. So pass it on anyway. Let them know. Apparently, Apple takes a little while to do that, or I haven't figured out iTunes. Anybody out there in streaming world that can help me change the logo here on the Apple podcast, because we've tried to do it a couple of times and it hasn't changed yet. Our intern Nick looking into it as well too. So we're here every Mondays, Thursdays, and Fridays. Again, the Friday football show, dedicated full hour to the NFL and college football, because we know that's where most of the wagering action goes. And with baseball being gone, the NBA and NHL there during the week. But it is football, football, football. Check out our social media for later picks and news, 6 Eastern every day, Monday through Friday. On Saturdays, we start at 11, 3 times a day with our selections. Sunday, noon Eastern, and twice on Sundays as well, too, for the NFL. We don't forget the NBA and NHL as well. And don't forget this Sunday, I will be in Cupertino at the Britannia Arms, Cupertino. Check them out at BritanniaArmsDeanza.com, 408-252-7262. We'll have our show from 9:45 to 10:15. Right after kickoff, we'll have our selections already made. We'll put a link out there. I'll put a link out there for you to join us. Come on, ask questions. We'll be live on the air, and you can ask any question you want. You can make any comment you want. Tell me I suck. I get a lot of that lately too, but hopefully not too bad that you guys will still watch, and you can check out the Make the Money and Run podcast. All right. Once again, the Atlanta Braves, the world champions of Major League Baseball for 2021. Congratulations to everybody in that organization. A very special tribute to Hank Aaron and Phil Niekro, who were not able to see that. All the Atlanta Braves and their fans. Apparently, they had 180,000 people outside the stadium, between inside the stadium and outside the stadium, celebrating the Braves World Championship last night. So congratulations to the Atlanta Braves. That's going to do it. We're sponsored by the Britannia Arms of Cupertino. Check them out at BritanniaArmsDeanza.com, and also check them out at BritanniaArmsDeanza.com, 408-252-7262. Check them out on Sundays for NFL Sunday Ticket. 20 TVs there. The Britannia Arms of Capitola. That's a look at it right there. Facebook.com/Britannia Arms Capitola /. Check them out as well. 831-464-2538. Make the Money and Run podcast. We'll see you tomorrow, 1 o'clock Eastern, with Charlie O for the Make the Money and Run podcast. I'm Vasi Vadaparty. Have a great afternoon. Enjoy the games. Don't forget to check out our social media at 6 o'clock. Send us any comments. Send us any questions you'd like us to answer. We'll have our selections for hashtag Selection Wednesday. That's going to do it for the Make the Money and Run podcast. Vasi Vadaparty signing off for right now. Have a great afternoon. We will see you on Thursday at 1 o'clock for the Make the Money and Run regular version of the podcast with Charlie O and myself. Take care, everybody. Have a great night.